Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. It's the third and final episode of this series with lead coach from Sibme's virtual coaching team, Kelley Garris. We've talked about a lot over the last couple of weeks: situational coaching, what your coaching identity is, the A to Rise cycle that Sibme not only follows with teachers, but trains and works with coaches in how they can implement that into their own coaching, whatever that is, district, campus, and beyond. Today, we're going to be diving into the S part of Arise, really focusing in on how do we strategize to meet the goal. And Kelley, I love this because sometimes some of the things that you all do within this part of the cycle are maybe omitted. And I really do think that there is some great value in some of the ways that we strategize to meet goals with teachers. So let's jump right in and start talking about S for Arise.
Thank you so much, Corey. And I do want to say I completely agree with you that sometimes we gloss over the strategize and the modeling piece. And here at Sibme, we recognize that we feel like that happens sometimes. So we really were intentional when this continuous improvement cycle was developed to put it in and in our own cycles to provide time for that to actually happen. So, to go back through the cycle. So we ask the person after they develop a draft goal, we ask them to create a baseline video. We watch that along with the AI report we produce from that video. And we ask the teacher to identify a landed goal. And we put that around the success criteria. We make sure there's a strategy. We make sure there's a measurement. And either at the end of that meeting or in a future meeting before we do a final video, we have to figure out how best to support that teacher with the strategy. And that's very open-ended. And sometimes it is as simple as a resource, but sometimes it requires a little bit more, such as, lesson planning with them, or modeling a strategy, or videoing a strategy, you doing the strategy. I think there's a lot of pieces involved, and we need to be thoughtful as coaches about how best to have them succeed. And we go back to situational coaching. We'll go back to acknowledging that every person that we work with is going to be different. And so we just want to make sure that we acknowledge that we need to support them amply in this process based on their need.
Yeah, I love that. And I have an example too from the work that I do as an adjunct professor. I have 10 students that I work with this semester, and every single one of them needs something different. Yeah. And I think for some, it's when it comes to like developing a lesson plan. For some, just giving them a model is fine. For some, they need, a little bit more of like one-on-one support from a peer, and that works just fine. And for one of them, I needed to ask those questions. So I'm a student. What am I doing now? You said you're going to do 2 practice problems. What are they? How are you going to practice them? What does that look like? Talk to me as if I'm the student. So really like modeling or going through that, I think each of them needed something different. And that's exactly how it works as a coach too. You have different teachers that need different things. They need to be coached differently. The way that you coach them is different. I think that's a great thing to consider, is that, again, like we talked about last episode, or maybe the first one, that there's no box, there's no perfect, like here, I'm going to hand this to you, teacher A, B, C, D, E, and it's going to work for everybody.
Yeah. And I think it really speaks to the implementation gap. Like Kim, in your example, sometimes I've got teachers who they know what it looks like and what it sounds like. They've seen it a million times, but there is a struggle in implementing. And sometimes it's the planning. Sometimes it is the preparation, the thinking about even getting ready to the planning. Or I've got a plan. Now let's really practice and rehearse this out before we do it, so that we don't get in the middle of the lesson and then just go back to old habits or something that feels a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
So for a coach to be successful in this portion of the A2 Rise cycle, what do they need? What are some things that you've identified and that you provide for your coaches as they're going through the S?
One of the biggest pieces is we do ask our coaches to develop a toolbox. And again, it's almost situational coaching with coaches too, because that toolbox can be whatever you want it to be. It can be organized however you want. It can contain whatever you want. But we think that you need to have one. We feel that there's going to be some times when you're in the middle of this really robust conversation and, you know, the teacher may not have a strategy in mind. And so you reel off the ones that, you know, we tried this, and they go, no, I don't want to do that. And you go, oh my gosh. Well, because of the toolbox, we really encourage people to say, okay, let's either hop to our toolbox, or, you know, Sibme has a great AI chat there, AI coach, excuse me. We can hop on there and look up some potential strategies. And again, that conversation piece, I think, is so important for them to see, yeah, those are the two I have in mind, but I've got some others. Let's take a look at these together. And it becomes very organic. And you almost take on, at times, that thought partner piece. Oh, let's take a look at this. How does this look? What's the outcome here? Oh, I think this one's going to fit. And you have these really healthy conversations. And we say with the toolbox, everything that's been on your desk from a professional development or in your email box that's been sitting there where you know it's important, but you don't have a place to put it. Now is the time to make sense of those and categorize and organize them, because they all bring valuable meaning and valuable research and valuable conversation starters to the conversation. Now we need to get them organized in a system that works for you. Mm-hmm. And speaking along those lines too, we think about toolbox, you know, for the one coach, but we also say, why don't you consider a larger toolbox, a library, if you will, that you can either use through Sibme or through other means, but have a larger conversation with the instructional leadership team about what valuable toolbox you could create collaboratively and collectively. Mm-hmm. So that's one piece. And again, thinking about that situational awareness, how can I best convey this tool to a teacher up front? Do I need to provide that one pager, that video, that article? What are they going to need? And that comes back to our conversation previously with Kim about really figuring out what people need and how we can uplift them and build their confidence and get them ready to you know, move mountains later on.
Can we just take a moment to just acknowledge how cool it is that we are now in a day and age where not only do we have our like physical toolbox and the things in our email, and maybe even some people are tools in our toolbox. Kim is one I often go to in my toolbox, and you as well, Kelley, and many of my other coaching colleagues when I need some ideas maybe for other strategies or how I might approach things. But I also will use other teachers on the campus because, like Kim said earlier, sometimes it's not me that is the best model for them when they've got someone there who can do that as well. But the idea that we can bring AI into it and use AI, leverage AI to help us collect data, then also to help us strategize, I think is super cool. And it's a really good use of technology in coaching.
And I think it acts as this great like third party in your conversation to ramp up the complexity at times. I've used the Sibme AI coach more than I can even say. I used it even this morning in a coaching conversation because I'm one of these people that also will say, I don't know. I don't know, but let's figure out how to find the answer to that. And so we've looked up rubrics. We've come up with a rubric between the teacher and I, but I'm like, oh, I think this is missing something. And, you know, I feel like we're just not quite there. Well, we went and used the Sibme AI coach and poof, we found that, you know, that row that we were missing in that awesome rubric. And we're like, boom, what a great suggestion. And we were able to you know, use that idea to propel us to what the teacher needs.
I love that. I often lean on people, but now, you know, technology is getting to a place where we can add that in there as well. And I encourage people to share their toolboxes with each other as well. I love that teachers can say, no, like, I don't think that particular strategy is going to work for me. And that's great. But then you also need more than just one as a coach. You need to have as many as possible. So I love that. Well, ladies, we did a 3-part series. And I am I'm proud of us for doing all 3 of these. And thank you, Kelley, so much for sharing your expertise. We couldn't possibly have done it in just one episode. So we appreciate that there are 3 opportunities for people to learn from you. Any final thoughts? Any takeaways from today? What's one thing that you want people to walk away from this series, Kelley?
I would say from a coaching perspective, really start examining again your coaching identity and what that means for you, what you want from that, and really start examining how you speak to people and the kind of responses you get in return, and really start to internalize that and think about that situation by situation.
And record those conversations.
We
will learn a lot about your demeanor, whether it's intentional or not.
Exactly.
I've learned a lot about myself that way. Great. Well, you can download the takeaways from today's episode. So be sure to look for those, and you can find us on all of your social media channels. Tune in very soon to another live episode, but you can always follow Corey and I on Instagram. We are following up in between episodes with our IG pages. So I am at Dr. Kim Coaching, and Corey is at Corey Camp Coaching. You can follow either one of us. We have reels and other stories that you can look at. But thank you all so much for following us on this 3-part series. And we will talk to you soon. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.